So Satish, thanks for coming today.
It's a pleasure.
I kind of feel honoured to sit in your presence and be given such an opportunity to get intimate and ask you some questions that I guess other people haven't asked you before. But for those who don't know, can you share with us a little bit of your story? I know that when you were 9 years old, you left home and joined the Wandering Janes. To me, that's just mind-boggling how a 9-year-old can do that.
Yeah.
Look at my daughter, she's 5, and to think 4 years, she's going to be gone.
You know, there's a phrase in English language that somebody is an old soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So your body may be 9 years old, but your soul may be older.
Yeah.
And so you carry certain things from previous lives. There are certain things that are embedded in your genes. And the genes are not new, they are old. We were present at the beginning of time. Even at the time of the Big Bang, we were present. So from that old spirit, old soul, I had the inspiration to search for truth and search for something deeper and more profound and more liberating than just following my family tradition and family business and family farming and all that. So that was a kind of inspiration, and I left home at the age of 9 and became a wandering Jain monk. And the Jain religion is very similar to the Buddhist religion. They are contemporaries in India, and the founders of the two religions lived at the same time. And so practices of Jain religion are very similar to Buddhist religion. And so we have meditation, and we cultivate compassion, non-violence to all sentient beings, live simple and elegant life, and meditate, and try to connect yourself with your inner world. So that was the practice for 9 years.
And so a wandering Jain, are you literally wandering through India? Are you ever settled in a place for a period of time?
We were allowed to stay in one place for 3 nights and then move on. During the monsoon period, when there's a lot of rain, there are a lot of creatures on the ground and a lot of vegetations. So at that time, the monks are allowed to stay in one place for the monsoon season, which is maybe 3 to 4 months. But you cannot stay in the same place on a consecutive year. So if you are staying in one place for 1 year, then you have to find another place, another town or another village for next year and next year. So we were nomadic. So I lived a nomadic life for 9 years, moving from village to village and house to house and begging for the food. So I had nothing, bare feet and a begging bowl and one change of clothes. That was my possessions. And when I come to a village, so I will stay at night with a little blanket on the floor and sleep on the floor, on the bare floor more or less, and my arm was my pillow and live very simple life.
Wow.
So no money for 9 years and begging for food and meditation and teaching principles of non-violence and principles of non-duality and detachment and compassion and generosity and living simply. So that was my teaching, and I was member of this community of monks, which was about 500 monks and nuns together, but they were all traveling separately. So we will travel in the groups of 2 or 3, or in the case of nuns, maybe 4 or 5.
So at 9 years old, you set off on a quest for truth. What was that truth? If you could elaborate on that. What was it that you were seeking that was so powerful to take you out of your home life, away from your family?
Yeah. What I can say is that by seeking truth through Jain monastic order and practice of non-violence, you come to realize why you are practicing non-violence. Because when you harm the other, you are harming none other than yourself. Because other and you are not separate. You are made of the same reality. We are all made of each other. We are all related. So we are all made of earth, air, fire, water, space, time, consciousness, imagination. So all these qualities we share with each and every living beings, and therefore you practice non-violence by realizing that we are all one, and therefore do no harm to any other creatures, because when you harm other creatures, you are harming yourself. So that is the truth that I realized during those 9 years of practice and meditation.
Because that principle of ahimsa, which is the principle of non-violence, it's not just about the physical acts, is it? Like warfare and physical abuse or any physical violence. It's more subtle than that, isn't it? Like Krishnamurti spoke of, if you have an attitude to someone, or if you have a thought or judgment against someone or a circumstance, that is an act of violence according to Krishnamurti. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. So non-violence has 3 levels. It begins in your consciousness and in your mind and in your thoughts. If you have any violent thoughts in your mind, in your brain, if you are thinking, being judgmental, being critical of someone else, then that is the beginning, the seeds of violence that you are cultivating. So you have to work on your mind, you have to work on your consciousness, and you have to make your consciousness pure. You have to make your consciousness compassionate. You have to make consciousness where everything in the world you accept as they are, without judgment. You accept good and bad. You accept high and low. You accept dark and light. You accept things in the world. And then with that attitude, you cultivate your mind. So the mental non-violence is supreme. And then mental non-violence is manifest through your speech and through your language. So you always use words with great care, and they should be such that they arouse compassion and confidence in the listener's heart, so that you don't harm anybody with your words. So you don't criticize anybody. You just appreciate what is, and when you cannot speak sweet words and confidence-building words, then you keep silence. And that manifests into your action. With your hands, with your feet, with your body, you do not harm anybody. So mental non-violence, verbal non-violence, and physical non-violence. These are the 3 levels. So the non-violence is a way of life. Non-violence is not hitting somebody, you're not going to war with somebody. It's a way of life. You live non-violently. And then if you see injustice somewhere, like Mahatma Gandhi is a supreme example of non-violent person. So if you see injustice, colonialism, imperialism, exploitation, destruction of environment, anything you see which is not non-violent, is inflicting violence on somebody else, there you act non-violently to prevent injustice and exploitation and destruction of nature and war. So non-violence is not only a personal practice or a personal ethic, it is also a social non-violence. It's also a political dimension of non-violence. So personal and political come together, and that is where the contribution of people like Mahatma Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Nelson Mandela, Mother Teresa, Wangari Maathai, all these people have made contribution that you can be non-violent and yet create a social and political order which is just and fair and ecological and sustainable.
Yeah. So another thing that I found really fascinating was not the fact that you left your family, that's one thing, but the fact that after 9 years of doing that, wandering throughout India, really refining, I imagine, your own state of being, you then felt compelled to return to the world. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. After 9 years, I came across a book by Mahatma Gandhi. This was his autobiography. And in this book, Mahatma Gandhi said, the spirituality should be available to every person in the world. It should not be limited to only those who have given up the world and who are living in monastic orders, or who are living in a Himalayan caves or in ashrams or somewhere. It should be available to everybody. So you don't have to forsake the world in order to practice non-violence and spirituality. So when I read this was quite a revealing concept. And I said, but I am keeping my back towards the world and face towards spirituality and divine. This is not right. So reading Mahatma Gandhi's book changed my mind, or changed my life, so to speak. And so one night after midnight, I escaped from the monastic order, because when you become a Jain monk, you become a monk forever, for the whole of your life. So you are not allowed to leave the monastic order. So I had to leave, almost escape the monastic order one night after midnight when everybody was asleep.
What would they have done to you? They can't be violent. They would have said, come on, you know, you should really stay.
They would force you to stay, or they will persuade you to stay, but they will almost bar you from any social activities and participation in anything. They will not let you, so there are lots of social constraints they put against you. So I left the Jain community altogether, and I joined an ashram far away from Rajasthan, where I was, where mostly Jain communities are. I moved away far from Rajasthan and went to Bihar, Bodh Gaya, and I joined a Gandhian ashram. And I said, now I want to practice spirituality and non-violence in everyday life, everything I do. Mahatma Gandhi said that it's not what you do which determines a spiritual and non-violent life. It's how you do it, with what intention and what motivation you do it. So if you have motivation right, your intention right, your action will be right. Then you can do politics with spirituality. You can do spirituality in business. You can do spirituality in farming. You can do spirituality in gardening. You can do spirituality in cooking. Spirituality is everything. Whatever you do not for your ego, not for your gain, a selfish purpose, but you do it as an expression of your compassion, expression of your service. You do it an expression of relationship. So when you are in business, you are in business for relationship, for friendship, for serving community, for providing needs of the community. You are in politics for relationship, for serving the needs of the community. So this relationship, friendship, serving communities, if you do with that spirit, then making money is only a byproduct. That is not the main purpose. Then you can do politics, you can do business, you can do farming with spirituality. That was the core idea of Mahatma Gandhi. And that inspired me. So this is why I left the monastic order and joined the Gandhian movement.
And then you did something quite fascinating. You went from Gandhi's grave to somewhere else. Where did you go? What did you do? Tell us about that.
That was another turning point in my life. One day, in 1961, I was in Bangalore in South India, and with a friend of mine, I went to have breakfast in a cafe. And as we ordered coffee and some breakfast, idli and sambar and dosa, and as I was waiting for our coffee and breakfast to come, I picked up the newspaper. And when I opened the newspaper, the first news I read was that a great philosopher in England called Lord Bertrand Russell has been arrested. So I read further. Why? Because he was protesting against the nuclear weapons. And when I read this, I had a goosebumps. I said, wow, he is a Lord Bertrand Russell, Nobel Prize winning man, at age 90, going to jail for peace in the world. What am I doing, young man, sitting here drinking coffee? And so I was so inspired, and I said to my friend, look, he's working for peace. What should we do? We are Gandhians, we talk about peace, we talk about non-violence, but the world is going to be blown up with nuclear weapons. Russia and America in Cold War situation. And he's a Bertrand Russell, who is a true Gandhian, who is going to jail for peace in the world. And so we talked and talked and talked, and then in the end, we came up with a wonderful idea. The idea was, let's walk from New Delhi to Moscow, Paris, London, and Washington, D.C., 4 nuclear capitals of the world, and join the international peace movement led by Bertrand Russell. That was a wonderful feeling. We said, wow, let's do it. And so we went to see our teacher, who was the head of the Gandhian movement, our guru, with whom we were working at that time. And he was called Vinoba Bhave. So we said to him, Vinoba, we want to go for peace walking to Moscow, Paris, London, Washington. Please give us your blessing. So he looked at the map and said, what will be your route and how will you go? And then he said, how much money are you going to take with you? I said, we don't have much money, but we'll take some and we'll raise some money. He said, I have an advice to you. My advice to you is go without any money in your pockets. I said, any money? Sometimes we need a cup of tea. Yeah. Sometimes we need to make a telephone call. Yeah. Sometimes we need to have a little bit of money, write a postcard. He said, no. War begins in fear. Peace begins in trust. So not only talk about peace, you should demonstrate peace. You should be peace. And how can you be peace? By trusting yourself, trusting other people, trusting the universe. Universe will provide. Go trust in your heart. That was a big advice. And it was quite unsettling for a moment. But then he was our guru, and our relationship with the guru is a very strong and profound relationship. It's not a dilettante relationship, because you have to really trust your guru. And so we said, all right, if you say so. We left our money behind, and we started from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi in New Delhi. And we started to walk, and we walked through India first, and then through Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Azerbaijan, Armenia, Georgia, Russia, Moscow, Belarusia, Poland, Germany, Belgium, France. And then we took a boat between Calais and Dover, and we walked from Dover to London, and we met Bertrand Russell. Amazing. And Bertrand Russell was so welcoming. He said, when you were starting, I received your letter, and I thought, I'm old man, I never see you. You are walking from India to here, but you have walked fast. And so we were delighted to see him. And then with his help, because he said, you can't walk on the Atlantic. You have to fly. So can I help you? Can I give you some money? And we said, Lord Russell, we have not touched money since we left India. So we cannot take money. But if you will help us, we don't want to fly, but we can go by boat. And you will help us. And so he and other peace people helped us, and we took a boat, Queen Mary, from Southampton to New York. 7 days sailing across the Atlantic. And then we arrived in New York, and we walked to Washington, D.C., and we ended our journey at the grave of John F. Kennedy. So from the grave of Mahatma Gandhi to the grave of John F. Kennedy, to make the point that a gun does not kill only a bad person. A gun can also kill a Gandhi or a Kennedy. Therefore, do not trust in the gun, but trust in the power of nonviolence. The power of nonviolence is greater and stronger and bigger than the power of a gun. And so that was the kind of message of nonviolence and peace and disarmament and trust that we took up the journey. 8,000 miles for 2.5 years. And I learned a great deal. That was a deep and profound experience.
You're making me feel very guilty about driving the car to the shops to get some groceries.
If you can find a grocery shop near your house where you can walk or bicycle, that's better.
I just have to toughen up, don't I? Yeah. And what did you learn through doing that massive journey? What did you personally gain from it? Your trust obviously was,
What I learned is that peace has 3 dimensions. First of all, you have to make peace with yourself. And trusting the world is to make peace with yourself. Because unless you are at peace, peace of mind, peace of heart, peace within your life, peace with your relationships, unless you have peace within, you cannot make peace without. The inner landscape and the outer landscape are 2 sides of the same one big reality. So you have to make peace with yourself. And then making peace with others. We went through Muslim countries, Christian countries, communist countries, capitalist countries. We stayed with rich, with the poor, with all kinds of people. And so we have to make peace and accept the diversity of cultures, of religions, of nationalities, of political orders. This diversity of cultures, acceptance of it, is the way to peace. But as long as we think that being American is better than Russian, or being Hindu is better than Muslim, or being capitalist is better than communist, or one above the other, as long as we have this kind of prejudice, you cannot make peace. And so making peace with the world is to acceptance the cultural, political, religious, racial diversity. That is the second lesson I learned. The third lesson I learned is that you not only have to make peace with human beings, but also you have to make peace with nature. Because the way we are treating our environment and our land and our animals seems like we are at war against nature. The way we treat our animals and put them in factory farms, the way we cut down the rainforest, the way we pollute our oceans and put pollution in it. All these things are acts of war against nature. And so making peace with nature, making peace with the forest, making peace with cosmos, making peace with the universe, that's a bigger peace than just nuclear disarmament. So I learned personal peace, political and social peace with human beings, and peace with nature. The three dimensions of peace I learned by walking around the world.
And it seems like that's enough. You translate that into action, you know, powerful, significant driving action.
Yeah.
You don't just go, I'm at one with creation. It's like, okay, now I need to work for creation, with creation.
Yeah.
Because you seem to be that embodiment of someone who has inner peace, but is also very active in the world. You know?
You can be active. Being active is natural. But because you don't know what the consequences of your actions are going to be, what results are going to be. But if you don't act, there will be no result. And therefore action is a way to serve the world. And Mahatma Gandhi used to say that I am an activist, not necessarily to change the world, but to change myself. And I am an activist to serve the world rather than to change the world. And when I'm serving the world will change. And therefore his motto was, be the change you want to see in the world. And then the transformation of the world happens. And with his action, with his own personal transformation, the colonialism in India and later in the world came to an end. And imperialism came to an end. And the sun never set under British Empire in the days of Gandhi. And now, where is British Empire? All gone. So change can happen. Transformation can happen, but those transformations and changes should happen through non-violent means and through changing yourself. Begin with yourself, then the world will change.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think are the major challenges that are facing humanity in this age, in this era?
A major challenge facing humanity is our relationship with the environment, with the natural world. We are facing grave challenges of resources are depleted, we are reaching peak oil, we are getting global warming, climate change, oceans are polluted, population exploding, big unemployment. All these things are result of our mindset, which thinks that we can go on creating economic growth forever and ever and ever. Endless, limitless economic growth. That is the greatest challenge facing humanity. We have to create a new model of peace, which is economics not linear, that you produce, you consume, and you throw away, landfills and pollution, but have a cyclical economy, like a mandala model, where you take, like in nature, there's no waste. Nature takes all the nutrition and nourishment from nature and then flourishes, abundance, and then goes back into nature. So you take the nourishment from the earth and you become a tree, and you have hundreds of branches, you grow. There's a growth there in nature. There's economic growth, natural growth, branches, blossoms, leaves, fruit, olives, grapes, apples, everything grows, food. And then you can consume it, and then it goes back, biodegradable, and back into the soil. And soil is nourished. Compost makes the soil enriched. And that way, the cycle of nature keeps going for millions and millions and billions of years. This earth has been here for billions of years because of this cyclical economy, mandala principle, mandala model. Our humanity in last 200 years, since the Industrial Revolution, has gone into this linear model where you take, use and throw away. We have to change that. That's the greatest challenge humanity is facing.
And it's a problem because engineered obsolescence was something that was introduced to society. So things are literally engineered in our culture to break down.
Yeah.
And so we're up against this massive corporate culture.
Yeah.
And even that expectation which people have that, you know, I'll replace that iPhone in 2 years or this computer in 3 years. So how do you think we can begin to change all that paradigm? Do you think that human beings will just be forced to because the Earth's kind of crapping out right now?
Yeah.
Do you think people electively do it? Do you think that there's enough consciousness in the world to do it?
I think the elected leaders are not going to lead us into a sustainable future. Elected leaders always follow the public opinion. And so we have to be the leaders. Leadership has to come from the bottom up. Every human being, all of us here in this room, are potential leaders. And we have to, Gandhi, when he was a young man, he was a very timid man, and there was nothing special about him. But then suddenly he became inspired and he took action and he became the leader. Martin Luther King, the same. Nelson Mandela, the same. Mother Teresa, the same. And so each and every one of us have to become a leader. We cannot wait for prime ministers and presidents. We had hoped that Obama will be a different kind of president, but he's a prisoner of White House. He's a prisoner of the Congress and the Senate. He's a prisoner of bureaucracy and Pentagon. He cannot do even what he wants to do. He wants to bring gun laws in America, but he can't do it. He wants to bring health reform. He can't do it. So leaders are imprisoned in that system. And so only human beings who are in the grassroots level, ordinary citizens, they can stand up and create new systems. So we need to create new systems, new kind of farming, gardening, medicine, education, ecology, economy, architecture, hospitals, everything. We have to create new models based on this cyclical idea where things can continue to renew itself and revive itself and not create pollution. So that leadership has to come from the bottom up. We, all of us, have to take responsibility.
Yeah. So how do you think the world is going to look in another 77 years' time?
I'm an optimist.
Yeah.
I'm an optimist because I think the human spirit is more resilient, and a human spirit will rise to the challenge of our time. And more people. For example, this house now, we are sitting here, the gardening model here, the roof where the solar energy is coming, a roof where the water is being collected. This is a good example of leadership. If you want to say, this did not come from Canberra or from a kind of government office. This comes from the grassroots level. So this is the kind of model we want to build. And so in 70 years' time, I think every roof of every house, every government building, every school, every university, every roof will be collecting solar energy and water. That will be the model in next 70 years. And garden, on the walls, we will have gardens like we have example here.
And growing have a fruit garden, vegetables and
growing on the walls. Yeah. So that kind of innovation, human spirit will rise to the challenge, and we will take that leadership and we will create a better world than the Industrial Revolution has given us.
From a philosophical standpoint, do you believe that there's just a human destiny, or do you believe that we shape it? Do you believe we're co-creators?
A bit of both.
Yeah.
There is a human destiny, but we are shapers of it as well. For example, a potter on a miniature scale, in a microcosm, a potter or a sculptor takes the clay. There is a destiny for the clay to become the pot. But is the potter participating in that destiny and shaping the pot And you can create many, many different shapes, different forms. A sculptor, like in England, we used to have a wonderful sculptor called Henry Moore. And he used to say that the sculpture is already in the stone. I'm only revealing it.
Like Leonardo da Vinci said too.
Yes,
yeah.
yes. And so destiny is there. We are born with certain potential. So that potential is our destiny. But revealing that potential, bringing that potential out, we are all potentially a Gandhi. We are all potentially a Mother Teresa. We are all potentially a Bob Brown, whoever your hero is. And therefore, revealing and unfolding and making that potential emergence, that is in our hands. If we don't reveal that, then the clay will remain clay. It will not become a pot. And a stone will remain a stone. It will not be an image of a Buddha. So you need to participate in the process of the universe. So you are not a passive observer, just destiny taking you somewhere. You are an active participant in the shaping and forming of your destiny. So you are not an impotent, powerless spectator. You are an active ingredient.
Yeah. And do you think that most people don't feel like they have personal power? Or do you think people are just apathetic? What have you seen in your travels around the world? Because we've got a huge problem, but no one seems to be doing much about it.
Yes, yes.
Because I think the problem feels greater than one's individuality is to, change it.
Yes, problems are huge. We are not so much apathetic as we are conditioned. From the childhood, from age 5, children are sent to school, and then larger school, and then larger university. For 20 years, they are conditioned to think in linear way. They are conditioned to think that the life and the purpose of life is to find a job. The purpose of life is to make more money, to become successful, to get a name and fame, something like that. So that conditioning of the mind is forcing people to follow this status quo. Now what we need to do is to decondition our mind and say that the life has a greater purpose than just get a job and make a little bit of money and just for yourself. So new kind of education, new kind of awareness, new kind of consciousness we need to create. And that is already starting to happen, Already we are seeing some green shoots. Spring is already there. Yeah. I think new awareness. I'm an optimist. And this is why I started a college called Schumacher College to educate people, decondition. We invite people there and ask them to unlearn what they have learned in universities, this separation, division, and a kind of fragmentation, and see things in a bigger picture. The consequence of our actions is a big picture. And therefore, Schumacher College is a place where we are working to create that kind of new awareness, new consciousness, and new paradigm, if you like. In the same way, I am publishing Resurgence magazine. That is another vehicle to bring this holistic, integral worldview, a new paradigm, so that people are aware of it. When they read it, they know, oh, other people are doing like this, I can do this. So inspiring people like that. We have to work on that and build a big movement, a movement for sustainability, spirituality, imagination, creativity, and new consciousness.
Mm-hmm. You're such an inspirational man. It's incredible.
Thank you. Thank you.
I think, I would kind of see you like being like wine. You're 77 years old, is that right?
Yes.
You just keep getting better with age. What's your secret to staying so youthful and inspired and lighthearted and so radiantly happy?
The secret, if there is a secret, I don't think it's a secret. I live in the present moment. And therefore, I'm not burdened by worries and a kind of fear. Fear is a cause of ill health, and freedom from fear is a health imperative. You want to be healthy, free yourself from fear. This is my secret. So I don't worry too much about the past. I don't worry too much about the future. I live mostly in the present moment. and do whatever I can do now. Best act I can do now. This is the most beautiful moment. This is the most inspiring moment. This is the moment when I can act. I don't know what will happen tomorrow. I might die next day or next moment. We don't know what is happening tomorrow. So my formula is that 80% of your time and attention and awareness should be embedded in the present moment. Live now. And only about 5% should be in the past. Just a little bit of memory. You need it, a little bit of help, memory, but only 5%. You don't need much. And maybe 15% planning for the future. So you need to know where you are going and what you are going to do. So like I came to Australia, I had to do a little bit of planning. But once I'm in Australia, I forget what happened in the past, and I don't have many big plans for the future. So living in the present moment is the secret that keeps me healthy. And I'm minimizing fear. Always, you have to have a little bit of fear, like salt and pepper on your food. A little bit of fear is okay. But if your plate is full of salt and pepper, then it will not make you nourished and fulfilled and happy and kind of nurtured. And so fear should be a little bit, because we are human beings, we have a little bit of fear. But large amount should be trust and working in the present moment and living in the here and now. That's my secret, if it is a secret.
Beautiful. Yeah. What role does love play in your life or in your life philosophy?
Life is love. I was born in love. I'm a love child. All of us are love child. People mistake in thinking that love child means a child born out of wedlock. That's wrong. Every child is born out of love. When mother and father love themselves, each other, and come together in union, they produce a child. So we are born in love. The moment we are born, universal love puts milk in the breast of the mother, and mother feeds the baby in love and with love. We are born in love. We are children of love. We are love children. And therefore, love is the only thing which holds us together. All our relationships, all our friendships, all our marriage, all our parents and children relationship, all our neighborly relationship, all our love of nature, love of plants, love of food, love of flowers, love of good smell, love of good taste, love of life. When people come to Schumacher College, I say, you have come here to learn about sustainability, but that's only an excuse. You have come here to fall in love. Fall in love with each other, fall in love with nature, fall in love with life. So love is the foundation upon which everything is built. The entire universe is built on the foundation of love. Even the animals love, mate each other when a baby is born. Even the seed loves the soil and comfortable in that womb, the soil. Then out of that love, a plant comes out. And when the tree has got lots of mangoes and apples and olives, the tree says, I love you. People come and eat me. Juice and the kind of fragrance and the taste and the sweetness is trees' love for humanity. And trees' love not only for unconditional love. When you go to a mango tree, it will never ask you, have you come with a Visa card? It's a completely love gift from the tree. Have fruit. You are a poor or a rich, you are a white or black, you are a poet or a peasant, you are whoever you are animal, a wasp, a bee, everybody can have fruit. That's a love of the tree. So if you look at the universe with the eyes of love, with the consciousness of love, love is everywhere. It's a foundation of our existence.
And would you agree we need to learn to operate from that level? Humanity as a whole, if we were to do that, what do you think would happen to the world's problems?
I mean, there is no such thing as utopia. And there is a love, like in a field, there are flowers, but there are also thorns. So human mind and human consciousness is a field. And in the field, there's a love, but there's also anger, and there's also hate. And so what we need to do is to cultivate love, cultivate flowers, and weed the thorns out. That's our continuous work. A gardener and we are sitting here in the house of a gardener. And so a gardener never tires of weeding the bad weeds out and planting the flowers and the fruit and the vegetables and the good things in the ground. So there's a continuous lifelong process of cultivating love and discouraging hate and fear. So that's a continuous work. It's not a utopia that one day everybody is in love and no hate, no anger, no quarrel, nothing. That's not possible. That will make us impotent and powerless and complacent. And so we need this challenge. Every day we need this challenge to be aware, be conscious of our relationship. Be conscious that we are here to cultivate love and cultivate relationship and cultivate friendship and discourage hate, discourage anger, discourage judgment, discourage negative feelings and encourage positive feelings. That is our lifelong work. It's not that one day we can reach a state, utopia, when there's only love and nothing else. That's not. And that will not be a good world. We need this challenge all the time, and we need this spiritual work all the time.
Yeah. Beautiful. I'm going to throw to the audience now, and you guys can start asking questions if you have any. I'm sure you do.
Yes?
My question is really, I mean, considering what recently happened here in Australia with the changing government, and I find it really difficult not to be judgmental and not to be angry. How do you deal with that, you know, so much negative is happening?
You see, you can make a judgment that the government is bad. You can be angry, the government is bad. Then what? That will make you frustrated. That will make you disappointed. That will make you powerless. That will make you... this doesn't help. Anger and frustration and disappointment doesn't, and being judgmental doesn't help. What you need to do is that what is your action now which you can take, like a Mahatma Gandhi, like a Martin Luther King, what action you can take now to mitigate this kind of election and this kind of government. So how you can organize from grassroots level in your community, do whatever you can do with love. And the government is elected not out of blue, it's elected because some people want them to be there. You may not want them to be there, I may not want them to be there, but there are some people in your country who want them to be there. So our work is to work with those people, create new consciousness, create new awareness, create new thinking, build new projects, show people how sharing, community, ecology, all those things are important, and create a new awareness in your country so that the next election comes, you will get people who are better. Maybe Green Party will win next election. But you have to work at the grassroots level. Anger, hatred, frustration, this is no help. This will make you impotent. It will make you disempowered. It will make you frustrated. It will not make you any happy. So action requires love and power and nonviolence. Those are the powerful things. Then you can change the world.
Anyone else?
You've done a lot with your life so far, more than any of us could imagine. What would be your next big mission?
My next
Big mission.
big mission. My big mission is very simple. I want to remain active up to the last breath of my life, and remain active in the service of the earth, because the earth provides us sustenance, and so we have to always remain active. That is the greatest mission for whole of humanity, that how we live on this earth in a harmonious way. Harmony with the earth is our mission. And understanding that harmony, knowing that harmony is a science. Because through science we know how all the species fit together, how the seed and the soil and the sun and the rain, all in harmony, working together to produce a tree. That's the harmony. And knowledge of all the species working together in relationship is science. And living in harmony with yourself, with your fellow human beings, with the earth, with the trees, with the plants, with the animals, with birds, living in harmony like we are one earth community, one family. Living in harmony is our spirituality and our religion. Religion is not a mosque or a church or a temple or the Bible or the Quran or theology or some belief system. Religion means living in harmony with yourself and with other living beings. So that's the spirituality. And the third is that we must express this harmony through our arts, through music, through painting, through poetry, through gardening, through cooking, through any kind of expression that you can find. Express that harmony in arts. So knowledge of harmony, practice of harmony, and communication of harmony. These are the three things we do in the service of the earth. That is my mission in life. The other missions, like there's a particular some action here or there, they are only a kind of shorthand, as a kind of tools. But the big mission is to create that harmonious situation.
You're a legend. In Australia, we'd say you're a bloody legend. Amazing. Unbelievable. All right, a couple more questions, yeah.
At the risk of sending you back to times that you'd like to move on from, have there been moments of disharmony in your life, and how have you overcome those?
I mean, of course, as I said, like salt and pepper, anger, disharmony, these are part of life. And I have experienced disharmony in some stages. But then when I am facing anger or disharmony or frustration or hatred or whatever negative feelings that you may title, then I do two things. Either I go for a walk to bring back harmony. When you go out in a forest or in the woods or by the sea or in garden or somewhere, you see how everything is in harmony. You experience it. So going for a walk is a good medicine for you, bringing you back to the source, to yourself, to your reality. So that's one action I take. Go out walking, and your anger will dissipate and your disharmony will be mitigated. The second thing, if I'm not going out, I go in a room and I close my eyes and I reflect and I think that where is this harmony going to lead? Yeah? How can I live with it, and how can I balance it with harmony? How can I deal with it? So I give myself a bit of time. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. In Indian tradition, in old sort of palaces, there used to be an anger room. And if, say, husband or wife or children are angry, you are not allowed to spread that anger and spill that anger in the house. You go in the anger room and meditate. And then somebody who feels that this person is angry with me because something I have done, that person, husband or wife or son or daughter or mother or father, whoever, will go in that anger room. And there they will talk and say, have I done something for you? I was meaning to do this, but maybe it came like that. Can I change? Can I help you? So try to negotiate, try to find a way to bring back the harmony. So it's the lifelong work. Bringing back harmony in your life is a lifelong work. It's not that one day you can be a saint. Even a Buddha or Mother Teresa get a little bit of anger and disharmony. So do not be disheartened if you get a bit of angry or fearful or in disharmony. Do not be disheartened. Say, this is natural, but I have other forces within my heart. I can deal with this disharmony and this anger and I can respond to it in a positive way and cultivate love in its place, cultivate friendship in its place, cultivate forgiveness in its place, cultivate generosity in its place. All those qualities are also within your heart as you have disharmony and anger and hate and jealousy. So go for a walk or go in a meditation room. These are the two answers.
Satish, thanks for your time.
You're
It's
welcome.
been absolute joy.
Thank you, 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 thank you. Yeah.
That was all.
That's
Pleasure,
pleasure.
Incredible.
The pleasure to meet you all. It's
Yeah.
wonderful to meet you all. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me in your house, a beautiful house. It's a good example of what we are talking about.
Yeah.
It's a good example. You
Yeah,
are
thanks for
already-
having us here, mate.
Your work is a
Yeah.
good example for us. Yeah, exactly.